This is the Conrad Alert. Civil defense information will be broadcast at 6:40.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Y2K, how can we prepare?
Stop a few of their machines and radios. Throw them into darkness for a few hours.
We are fighting for our lives. My family must survive.
For 5 years, 1,000 gallons of gas, air filtration, water filtration.
Hey guys, Toolman Tim here. We are going to do something extra special tonight. We're going to dive right in. If you're watching this, you're probably watching it on Rumble, Telegram, Twitter, or Odyssey because, well, you can figure out why. But without further ado, we're going to do a live watch party with Cam and COBY, the casual preppers. How are you, folks?
Man, we are so excited.
One of the best shows ever.
It is very good. The only thing better than that was the documentary I watched called Finding Bigfoot or something like that. It was good.
That is
the
Bigfoot. That's what it's
fantastic.
The Bigfoot.
The acting, but the story was there. So
yeah, the great writing.
Cinematography. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it was right up there with the Finding Treasure shows where they never actually find the treasure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Oh yeah, no, it was good. So let's get her started here, man. Let's see. Oops, I almost jumped ahead to 13 minutes.
And here we go.
Oh yeah. So don't
Touchstone.
you think it's actually a Disney film? Hey,
it is a Disney film.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Touchstone was the adult version that was owned by Disney.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy. What I love how like hard he comes in on these opening credits with the score. It's insane.
It does make a big difference.
I've always been a big Hitchcock fan.
A little chill.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a very much like this. I was reading the guy that did the score for this was inspired by The Birds and Psycho, which is totally, you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very Hitchcock-esque. Even like the opening credits are Hitchcock-esque. The score is very Hitchcockian. I want to use that word a lot, probably.
Hitchcock.
I just like to say Hitchcock.
Anything's good to go too, so I love it. So we're gonna sound like we are what do you call it? Movie connoisseurs, because we'll say terms like Hitchcockian, but it's really just because we're 12-year-old boys at heart. So
I really am, man. Like 100%.
I agree.
Just ask my wife; she'll tell you. So
this score always gets me. I just love the soundtrack. Yeah, they kind of do that little 3-note like motif, and it kind of just goes through the whole film.
I wish I knew more about music. The only D I got in university was fundamentals of music, so I'm not like
Well, they do notes with instruments.
Is that how they do it?
Yeah, pianos and stringed instruments of some sort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We called it fundamentals of clapping because that's all we did was clap.
A lot of clapping,
and I couldn't even clap on beat. So.
My son just had a concert today where they're just tapping on the desk.
Oh, really?
With like sticks and stuff. I'm like,
beautiful.
That's the instruments nowadays.
So was this his? Let's see. This was his third film.
It was
major motion picture, right? Yeah.
He did a few others. He actually wrote. Do you remember Stuart Little?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He did write that, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But as far as writing and directing, because like he's kind of branched out a bit. But yeah, this was 3, and he was on quite the streak at that point too. Is the lighting okay? Is the picture showing up good?
Yeah.
Perfect. Good.
It's just the movie. It's just dark.
Yeah.
Dreary, scary.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I don't know. The way it opens and the way they use sound in this. See, I even want to whisper because I'm going to ruin the movie I've seen 1,000 times.
That's the thing. You should get like glued to it.
Mel Gibson, man, in this film.
Any film. I'm huge. Mel Gibson fan. I don't care how weird he is.
We get that foreshadowing with the. Oh yeah, was that the Scream?
I love this. It's the perfect cast. Even the kids are good, which is hard.
It is. That I agree. I think
Becky and I both we're kind of mean, but we don't particularly like kid actors, to be honest. And
that's true.
It's not their fault. It's not their
over
fault.
The top, or they're really bland. Like, but they do so good in this.
And I could watch Joaquin Phoenix read a phone book. Like I think he is one of the best actors of his day. I really appreciate him.
Yeah, he is fantastic in this film. I love how good he does on the humor side of stuff on this. He is so fantastic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. You don't see that a lot from him, but
And speaking of sound, whenever they're in the cornfield, it's just it's all encompassing. That's what I love. The surround sound is one of the first films I remember. The surround sound really grabbed me.
Yeah, I grew up around cornfields my whole life, and I forever have been like creeped out by them. Just the different, there's like waves of temperature in them, and everything about them creeps me out. So that was the thing about this movie that I was always kind of like uneasy about. I'm like,
this whole film is, I don't know how M. Night Shyamalan does it, but it's just always that unease. Like
you do
always the entire film
feel that way.
You're just uneasy. And that's like, I think that's one of my favorite things about his films is, and this is my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. I know most people would say Sixth Sense, but this one is mine. And it's mostly because of the atmosphere and the feel of just kind of overall, you know what I mean?
He just generates tension. You know, I've heard a quote 1,000 times and I can't find who originated it, but the monster you don't see is scarier than the monster you do. And
for sure.
This shot right here, this is so unsettling. It opens up. Well, he made practical signs first, or practical crop circles, but you get this motif through the whole movie of being shot from above looking down. And I love it. Yeah, everything about it just creeps you out.
I don't think he made those crop circles.
No, he did.
No, they were already there.
Why
do you think they made the movie?
Those are real.
What I loved about it was, you know, at this point when the film came out, everybody knew that two dudes in England, or at least most people did, were responsible for the crop circles. But he even addresses it, and he's like, I thought these were fake, you know? And
yeah.
I love how
news about that had already come in. Yeah.
And early on, animals. That was one of my. So I pulled out 10 prepper lessons we could talk about too, just because you know we're preppers and we're supposed to talk about prepping, right?
Sure.
So,
yeah.
But pay attention to animals because they're like a harbinger in this, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
The dogs go nuts, and
the canary in the coal mine, man.
Oh yeah, and crickets. I didn't realize till I was prepping for the show. But whenever the aliens, they go quiet.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what my wife said about me last time. When I peed on myself, she said I was sick too. So
he's sick. Just go put him in the garage.
I think he's the most talented Culkin.
Oh yeah, he is
by
really
far.
good.
Yeah, by far.
Did you catch that throwaway line where he says, "I'll call the doctor" instead of the vet? I never knew. No,
I didn't think about that either, huh?
Yeah, because of course the vet.
Yeah, a little bit of an issue
later on.
That to me is again why I think he's a great writer. So much foreshadowing.
Those details and those little.
There's no wasted line.
Mm-mm.
Everything means something whenever they show this. That's what
everything's moving the story forward in some way, shape, or form with his dialogue. And it's really funny because I saw a post the other day on some like film critic site saying like, we all know that M. Night Shyamalan sucks at writing dialogue. And I was like, what?
How?
I feel like that's one of his really strong points, especially in this film.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I would agree 100% with that. That doesn't make any sense.
I think he's everything he does is a little hyper realistic. You know, his dialogue, you know, one thing I love about Quentin Tarantino is his dialogue feels like two dudes sitting around talking, you know?
Yeah, that's what he's known for.
Yeah, it's true. But in this, you know, the dialogue works, but everything is it's designed to put you on edge a little bit, you know?
This was her first film.
Was it really?
I did not know that.
Freaking
this is the very first one, yeah.
I don't know how you get a kid that little to act as well as she does.
Sticks and
beat him.
Shop
every day.
Shop collar usually works.
Such a good line, man. Like the writing is so good, and again, it's a blend
to kind of like
blend of like humor, sci-fi, horror.
Like, I think that's what keeps it good. Because
even when she's
really too serious all the way,
you can't, and that's what because if you watch Unbreakable, and I love Unbreakable, but that thing is serious from start to finish. You know, it's so earnest and so like dreary, but it's good. I like it.
And sometimes they go over the top with the humor to make it not like suspenseful, or it's just like, okay, now it's a little too cheesy.
And the way he films everything, it's all filmed like there's almost no steady cam or handy cam stuff. It's all like a fixed shot, so it feels portraity. You know, you're kind of enclosed, and it's just a little off-putting sometimes.
I think this was Tak Fujimoto, wasn't it? The cinematographer.
Yeah, sure. I think you're right, because he was in the credits when it opened, I think, or he's in there somewhere.
I'll have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, he did so many films like back in the 90s. And
look at Mr. Walking IMDb here.
Tak Fujimoto. He's 83 now, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I thought she did a great job too as the sheriff or the cop.
She's really like dry.
Yeah.
When
she's serious but not serious. It's kind of funny how she does a really good job at it. Everybody in this the acting was really good.
And it's so he's been another one of his what do you call it? Influences was Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You guys ever see the old 70s one with
I haven't seen that one actually.
Okay. Well, they're all the same, but it's, I mean, you know, the idea, even the Invasion with Nicole Kidman, but the faces they make, there's that famous scene of Donald Sutherland pointing at the camera and his eyes are bugged out, you know, and that's what he does a little in this. Like, everybody's just a little bit weird, especially the military recruiter.
Yeah, he's super weird. That dude creeps me out. That part right before this, when he's like, I can't hear my children. That part like really gets me, because it, like, just as a parent, you know, it's like I'm not hearing the noise they make. That's like unsettling.
There are so many things in this that just break your heart as a parent, and you're like, there's lines that the kids say that you're like,
oh yeah.
Some that break your
heart. Just
like
here when he tries to comfort him, and he's like, I don't want this.
And you forget, because I think it was the last time when Becky and I watched this recently, I think it's only been about 6 months since the wife died. So the grief is just so real, and you've got to, you know, I mean, you hate to think about it, but what would any of us do if we had to go home every day and look after everything we've never done, you know, or we rarely do, and all of that, right? It would be bad.
And to not go to your job anymore that you've known forever.
And not just
like
job.
Not believe in your job.
Yeah.
Or what you
his
believe.
Entire faith, his entire identity, you know, more so like a pastor. Everything they do, you know, right? I mean, their whole life is visiting people, and all of a sudden he just gives it up.
Yeah, he portrays that so well, of like he's just at a loss. You can just see it.
He's a broken dude in this, and he comes around a little bit at the end, which I like.
Well, I think that's the whole point of this is like it kind of brings back his faith, I think, by the end of it.
Oh man, see, cornfields at night, man.
I know.
I don't like them.
I love them. Oh, this part.
We got Nat, the preparedness guy, over on Rumble. I'm just going to say hello to.
Okay.
Oh, this part creeped me out. The first time I saw it, it made me jump.
Oh yeah.
Nothing scarier than waking up the child in your face.
Oh my gosh.
Probably scarier than anything.
Oh yeah.
They're like,
that's why I lock mine in the bedroom.
Dad, and they wake you up, you're like, what? And they're like staring at you.
If you keep them in the garage, it never happens.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I'll try it next time.
It works. It really does.
If Child Services is listening, or we're good. We're just joking here.
Isn't it right here?
I don't know.
Oh no, it's when he's talking to her and then looks out the window.
And her delivery is so good too.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I thought this was the jump time. It's always so good. And the movie has a heart too. You know, here she is talking about, you know, I hear you talk to mom when you're not around. It makes me feel better. And for a movie that's about the end of the world with aliens, and about a guy finding his faith again, there's a real heart in the film too. And like, it's just raw, you know?
There's a lot of layers. There really is in this thing.
They, first day of filming was September 12th, 2001. right there. That creeped me out.
Yeah, me too. It made me
a
like freak out too.
And I know there's a name for that noise they make. Like, I don't know if it's violins or whatever. There's a trope for that, but it's good. Yeah.
This is one of my favorite
It is
scenes in the entire film.
It's so damn funny.
Oh my gosh. Like every time I see it, my wife and I just die.
He gets it, like the tone and everything so good. To act like you're acting, that's one of the most incredible things.
I know.
Because he comes across as he's trying to be genuine, but at the same time he's and
like, how do you do that? How do you sound like act like you're not acting, or that you are acting?
I can't even act like I'm acting.
I know. It's
just make noises. Then it's so hilarious.
Explain noises, and he's like curse and stuff.
Man, electric or those automatic lights. That's why I haven't put one in, because I don't want to know if it turns on.
I know you don't want that creeping you out in the middle of the night. I'm saying with anger. It's such.
He's an underrated comedian.
Oh my gosh, he definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
When what was it, Daddy's Home? When he's in, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, Daddy's Home too.
Yeah, he's really good in that.
Oh man, just the some of the movies he was in the 80s, some of those action films he did, he was hilarious, man.
That's true.
Here I say he's underrated, and he's known for Lethal Weapon films.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like Lethal Weapon, he was hilarious. I heard.
I love that.
Seriously, so good.
I could almost picture him growing up as a homeschool kid or like a Christian school kid, because he's so sheltered. It's like he probably, he probably went to Christian school his whole life, then to Bible college, and then he's a pastor, and he's like, And I love this whole Lionel Pritchard thing. It's just, it's such a small town, stupid thing.
Just a name that,
but it's
everybody knows.
It's so real though, because like we grew up in small towns, and there was always like, it's probably that kid.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
In my town, it was Marshall Miller. If you said Marshall Miller, everybody's like. One time he had a broken leg, and he broke into a garage, and you could see the footprints in the snow. One shoe, one cast. One shoe, one cast.
That's hilarious.
When they're describing, oh my gosh, when they're describing him, is like one of my favorites too. It was really dark.
This again is another scene. It's like it's hilarious. This entire scene, but there's also like pieces when she comes in and she's like, same things on every channel.
That's
You're just like, what?
That's like one of my favorite parts too, because it's like that's what it would be like in a scenario.
You see this Dexter's Laboratory?
Mm-hmm.
Even this is not a throwaway. So the it shows the bad guy getting beat up with a stick and then dunked in water.
Oh man, yeah.
How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
Yeah. And so 9/11, I remember turning it on ESPN and there being 9/11 footage on ESPN that morning. So that's what I always get the chills when I, everything's on the same channel.
Stimulating. I love the camera work here too.
Oh
where actually pan back and forth instead of cutting.
Scene,
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
There is nothing. He never takes a shortcut into anything he does, and he does like this was a little bigger budget, but most of his films are done for well under $10 million.
Yeah,
which
I think he's financing all his own films now.
Incredible.
Yeah,
he's doing it all himself.
This one, like, forget it.
I love how he just gives up.
Oh
like, there's so many glasses of water. He's like, never mind. Just put it back
why
down.
am I even gonna put it back?
That is the life of a parent. Sometimes
it is.
God, just what? Forget it. I have told you to put your towel, to reuse your towel every day, and you refuse. So I give up. And this conversation is so odd. Just what talking about the Scandinavian Olympian, and that would show up in a small town, some crazy European lady.
Sarcasm.
I don't know whether to look for a giant or a midget.
And then the way that Joaquin talks about him, like, he goes, I'm really fast and I can,
Yeah.
He's like, they were just toying with me.
It's very dark. Yes, it was. He just agrees.
I'm like, she's like, I don't know. I've seen.
I could get off a roof in a second, but
absolutely. Getting up is tough.
Yeah, it's a little harder.
They got these Scandinavian women who can jump clean over, and just like his dejected, like, oh, are you kidding me? That's what she's saying, you know.
And but she's making a point, but it doesn't seem like it.
And this part was kind of weird, where she's like, oh, there's a lady that came into town and she was spitting all over everybody.
Yeah, she's just trying to pull that into being possibly the problem.
I think she just didn't want to go see Lionel and the Wolfington gang. I think she's like, you know what? I'm just gonna blame it on some crazy Scandinavian. And nothing against Scandinavian people, But
I just love how he comes back.
Oh, mad about it.
He's like, okay,
you tell me.
Besides,
and it's
she's all put out about it.
Yeah,
excluding the possibility. That's what he says. A female Scandinavian Olympian was running around outside our house last night. What else might be a possibility?
He's like, what are you talking about?
And everybody's been talked down to by somebody or not talked down to, but you've had your ego broken just a little bit, from somebody like that. And then she has to bring up leaving the church. I mean, it's good exposition, because
for sure
we don't actually know it yet. But
then he brings it back. Okay, I was out of line with the whole female Scandinavian Olympian thing.
But he's not wrong. I mean, he was a semi-pro baseball player, and this dude or whatever was on the roof, off the roof, and back on the roof or whatever.
Oh yeah, this is the part. Huh?
Yeah, I did.
And yeah, I love how they set this up.
Same shows on every. Yep.
Like what?
And then she just looks up.
Because as an adult,
I loved how that.
There's things like that when a kid tells you that you're, it's not good. I love that dude right there.
I do too. It's like just another little eerie.
You guys been watching the Last of Us?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The opening of the very first scene.
Oh my gosh, so good.
So exactly. Good.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
We've been doing weekly episode recaps, me and my wife, and it's
nice.
I love it. Yeah.
It comes out Friday this week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, because
I need to catch up.
Yeah, man.
Did you play through the whole game of The Last of Us? Did you play into it?
Yep, the first one.
One of the few games I went all the way through the story.
Oh yeah, I what's the one you guys talk about? Is it Daisy or Days?
Daisy.
Yeah. Do you guys talk about that for I listened to you for 20 episodes before I realized what game you were talking about because I always pronounce the name wrong.
Days. Yeah.
Days. I was like, hey, let's go play Days. I never finished it, but it was okay. But Last of Us is so
I don't know. There is a finish to Daisy.
It never ends. Yeah, I love the fact that she's like, just go to town, get your mind on everyday things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just kind of a great little break in this film. Kind of, I mean, we're still kind of in the first act.
It's true. It kind of breaks up the intense, at home fear. Like it kind of makes it more real.
Mm-hmm.
And there's in this part when they go to town is some of the most off-putting, odd acting of the whole movie as well.
It is. The town seems super weird.
What's her name in the pharmacy is so hilarious.
Yeah. You might know this, but it's Denise from The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's also on New Girl.
Yeah, she's on New Girl. Yeah.
Like, does douche count as is it douche? Is that the one? Yeah, count as a curse.
Yeah.
57 or whatever.
Depends on how you.
Yeah. Well, then, yeah, it is.
I would live where he does in a second, though.
Oh yeah.
It's funny they built this entire thing just for the movie.
Blows my mind.
Well, the cornfields it's like I think they did it at some sort of a college or something.
I read that.
It was like a agricultural college, and so they just used that whole land for that. Yeah. She's trying to move it. I don't know what it is about in movies like this, like the radio, talking about the incident. I just love it. The radio or the television is like my favorite piece.
That's exactly what my wife would do. I know for a fact.
Turn off the radio.
Yep. I'd be wanting to follow what's going on. She'd be like, let's just turn it off. The kids are getting scared.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, Guess we'll go to town and die because
one of my all-time favorite zombie films is called Pontypool, Ponty Pool. And it's you don't see any zombies in it. The whole movie takes place inside of a radio station.
Oh wow,
and
that's cool.
It was a low budget Canadian flick, and everything comes in through reports from the outside. Anyway, if you ever get a chance, watch it.
I'll have to check that one out because that sounds right up my alley. I love that kind of stuff where it's like radio reports and you're just sort of hearing what's going on in the outside,
28 Days Later, my favorite scene in that doesn't even happen. It's just when he tells the story about when they're at, I think it's the train station, and you see the infection waving through the people. But just by the way he tells it, it's like, I love that. This reminds me of something. Yeah.
Trying to sell Shasta.
Again, there's never a throwaway line because this pays off in a couple of minutes when he gets all excited because
this is great because there's always somebody that has some spin on something, the whole reason of this whole thing. There is the whole reasons to sell this.
Or that little radio for some reason. It's like that old radio sitting there on the counter at this little pharmacy.
I love this straight on shot here because it makes you feel his uncomfortableness.
You get that centered shot, and then later on, you see that guy sort of poke his head out from behind him, like he was standing there the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
So hilarious.
So prepper lesson. Always fill your prescriptions ahead of time. Don't wait till the aliens invade to go get your asthma.
100%.
Right.
100%.
I mean, wasn't it World War Z? Doesn't he have to go to the pharmacy?
Yeah, he does.
I think I think it's again for like albuterol or something, isn't it? I can't remember, but yeah.
Or not quite the same, but Greenland.
Greenland, yep.
Yeah, it's always kids with asthma.
Yeah, just get rid of your kid if they need
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Get a new one, yeah.
Like, sorry. You can drop them off at a hospital. Look at this pharmacy sells elixirs and potions.
Does it? I didn't know
those two things of blue liquid.
Don't let your wife know.
So he's like, he's sick of working at the gas station. It's like, it's time.
He plays the frustrated.
This guy's terrifying though. Like, I don't know what it is. Just everything about him.
So we watched it last time, Becky and I paid attention. This dude does not blink the entire time he's on camera.
Yeah, that's funny.
He reminds me of the guy in War of the Worlds. Is it Tim Robb or Tim?
Yep. Yeah, that's what reminds me of too. His like intense stare, like just a creepy.
He does have some really weird dialogue. There's no doubt about it. When he's like, why don't you have beautiful women licking your toes or whatever he says?
You know what I mean? Line in the whole movie.
Yeah, it's such a,
and he holds his like mouth like
But look at his eyes. Never the whole time he's on camera, he never blinks. And I've watched this 20 times. And last watch when I prepped for this was the first time I realized that was Lionel in the.
Oh, really?
I don't know how I missed it. Yeah,
that's funny.
Oh,
the kid. Yeah, the kid sitting over here is Lionel.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, he says his name.
He's like, "Hey, Lionel," and he pretends to punch him.
And that's pretty smart to like pull that all into.
Yeah. And I don't even care. A 507-foot home run, if that's legit, that's balls, man. That dude,
monster.
He is. Yeah, that is. In this day and age with computer tracking, they rarely have one over 500 anymore.
Really? Making stacks of cash.
That was licked by beautiful women.
See, and then Lionel, he's like, yeah, well, just because he struck out more than any two people.
But it's a funny line because Michael Jordan always says that he missed more shots than anybody, at whatever it was, right? But yeah.
I love how he's there signing up for the army too. Do you think it was the aliens or what was going on that led
him to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, that made him weird?
Yeah, or that made him like, man, I'm just gonna go join the army. I don't know what's going on. I need to fight this.
I'm either gonna get pulled into it anyway because I'm single.
Think about War of the Worlds.
The most likely to get drafted, maybe.
The young boy there, the son, he's from Shameless later on, but he always wants to go and join the army because he feels, that age when you're young and dumb and stupid and you think you can save the world, Yeah.
This lady's not the best actor.
Yeah, she's probably the weakest.
She's kind of like.
She seems like she should be out of like a Groundhog Day or something.
Yeah. This kid is he's such a good actor.
He is.
My gosh.
Well, you look at Macaulay Culkin, and you go back to like probably my favorite film he's in is Uncle Buck, and he is
great.
So good in Uncle Buck. This is like something right out of a Paul Verhoeven movie, like RoboCop, you know, with the fake ads or just that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. I love how she says it like quiet bastards.
Yeah, but she puts force behind it, so it's like a loud whisper, you know.
Like quickly, yes.
So watch this guy's gonna poke his head out. It's like so hilarious.
I always forget
it's a curse.
It's a curse. It's not 37. It's 7.
I know. I always forget.
Right there, yeah. That's a quick cut I missed. They should have lingered on that for a
yeah. And then this is so good. I don't want any of you spending time with Tracy Abernathy alone. Is that understood? So good, man. Yeah.
You know, one of my pet peeves in movies is how people sit around tables. And I understand that they have to in order to get the camera to see them all. But I'm like, if you saw people sitting like that in the room, you'd think they were psychopaths.
Yeah.
What is there like a dead grandmother sitting at the other chair? You know?
Is that him? Yeah, this is
such a horrible like thinking of him. Like if I saw the family and they're all just staring at you, how horrible you'd be. Like, I guess I'd peel out of there too.
It's that look Mel Gibson is given, you know.
Yeah, later on,
kind of nods to him, but
yeah, there's an understanding, kind of.
Really, he's not a bad actor.
He did well in this. Yeah, you know, again, there's the Hitchcock thing, right? Because Hitchcock put himself in every film that he made, and
he just like, when he has those lines later on in the vehicle, and he's telling him, you know, I had your number by my phone, I wrote your number down. Like, it's actually really well delivered.
Yeah,
like it's really good.
So apparently, his grandfather died the day before he filmed that scene, and he kept a picture in his pocket
to kind of keep like an emotion.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, whatever, right? I mean, it is what it is, but.
Another great scene, man.
Yeah, this part.
He just has so many great scenes in this, just scene after scene. Like, there's never a part where I'm like, okay, let's get through this.
No, I feel the same way. I've watched it over and over.
And you know, it's an hour and 42, and it never drags.
No,
it never does. It feels.
I don't know what it is.
No, give me a break.
So creepy with the those alien clicking noises in the background. Oh.
I forgot about his explanation here.
This is
the geeks.
They can't get girlfriends. This is my favorite part, that when she goes, "Why can't they get girlfriends?" Just like out of nowhere, and they just ignore her. It is like the best line. And she just like delivers it.
Been doing it again.
Because you know, he uses this to talk about the fact that they were fake before, right? Because that's what everybody's going to say going into this. Like, well, how can they're not real. And then, you know, I love it when they do that.
Get girlfriends.
And her delivery's great for that.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
It's almost like she really did like wonder, like,
wait,
why did they not get girl? And this part too makes me think of, like, as a parent, like, he's starting to sense some uneasiness.
Yeah,
he's starting to feel uneasy about it, but he doesn't want them to see it. So
he's trying to you know, tamp down the crazy.
You know, you can see, because I've caught myself during that of like feeling like some tension, and almost like you're thinking, but you're realizing your kids are paying attention. You're like, no, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, like certain times, I don't know. It's just
that's what would be so hard if you really were like bugging out, or you're in a scenario of like trying to keep your composure to not, you know, raise the concern in your kids and everything too, to try and just be like, well, this is what we're doing. This is our plan.
It's tough. I don't know. I know with Becky and I years ago when we were first married, and we, you know, financially and different, we struggled, like, you know, and you just have to put a smile on, you know, and go through things like this. And it sucks because as a parent, that's what we have to do. But man, it's not easy.
It's definitely not easy.
Is this the part too when he says, "Don't move, you lose a signal"? He's like shocked by it, like, because you know they're all kind of feeling like they want to do that.
Yeah, then he's like, no, you lose the signal.
He's so good at acting with his face, like his looks.
Mel's the last one to buy into it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, he's in
He
denial.
doesn't want to. He has uneasiness, but he doesn't want to. Yeah.
And again, how this is shot, you know, they're all, I love when they all kind of tie together and then the camera's facing down on them. It just looks so, everything's so good.
He's like, here, take her.
So interesting little trivia here. The only 2 times that the signal comes through crystal clear on the baby monitor is when all 4 family members are touching each other. So they have to make a connection in order to get a signal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. And it's such I just love this.
Tip number 1.
Yeah. I just love that it's like
together.
Kind of like a lo-fi, you know, so like real, like the whole thing, you know, there's aliens, but they're in their house. They're in this little town. They're picking it up on the baby monitor, you know. It's, I don't know. I love it.
It's an old-fashioned story in some ways. Like it honestly could have taken place in the 50s or 60s, really. Even, you know, it would have just been maybe a walkie-talkie or something, or an AM radio. But other than that, and that's what I had in my notes was that it feels like an homage to those 50s alien films.
And this is super relatable here too. Like, you don't want to show that you're scared to go, but I would be like, as an adult, like, I'm not gonna walk out there. Like, you're like, I gotta go do this, but you can tell he's kind of uneasy about what's out there.
Let's see, is this where he actually goes out into okay.
I love this. This is because he uses darkness here so well. And just that he has that, of course, the stupid trope of the flashlight that just won't quite work. And
what a great line, though. He's like, you're going to feel really silly when this all turns out to be fake or whatever he says there. He's talking to the dog. It's hilarious.
He's actually talking to himself.
Yeah, he's talking to himself. He's like, don't be scared, you idiot.
This is the part that makes me remember being a kid, like, because corn looks weird when you like, it doesn't look like the same.
You get shapes and like
it doesn't look the same when you shine a light on it.
To me, this is kind of a throwback to E.T. because you know what I mean, when the kid's out there and this is when he finally sees E.T. It's really similar to this.
True. Never in my life would I go into a cornfield exploring what the sounds,
especially with what's going on there.
No way.
Nah.
I would have at 14 when I was stupid, didn't know any better.
I don't think I would have.
No problem.
I was a coward from day one.
I'm just trying to sound big and tough.
Well, the American corn is much more thick and scary.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
You got that Canadian corn up there.
Canadian corn is stock, I think.
The problem is it's frozen up here all the time. So
that's
get that reflection off the ice. Yeah, it's bad.
So many times during this, they run through corn, and that's the worst experience on the planet.
It's not
like
fun,
slicing your eyes, it's knocking off debris, and they do it like constantly.
Slap you in the face, probably.
I love this because it has like a mist.
I know.
It's just so like freaky.
Very ominous.
I did when I was in high school pull an extension cord out into the corn, and there was like a bare spot.
Yeah,
and we watched a movie out there in the corn, and maybe that's part of why I was terrified. Can't remember what it was, but it was like it was freaky. You didn't want your back to anything but somebody else.
Did you guys ever watch Freddy versus Jason? I don't know if you're into
that. I don't know if I did either.
I'm pretty sure that's the film where the teenagers are having the party in the cornfield, and he comes out and does what he does.
Maybe it's something that sounds super familiar.
I saw how they actually filmed this. It's actually pretty hilarious. You know where you see the leg
like
of the alien?
Like that would just cut your face
off. Where he sees the leg of the alien. It's literally just like a prosthetic leg somebody had on a stick.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's hilarious what they can make
this
look so good.
Like something like making noise right behind you.
That right there. That.
And the perfect example of spending a little more money for a quality flashlight.
Yeah.
It ain't just gonna go out. That's one of those lights with a 9-volt. The 9-volt battery that's 10 pounds but lasts for like 2 hours.
It's like the one you'd find in my grandmother's basement that's been there since 32, you know.
Of course it gets right in his eyes.
Yeah, because
see that.
Was it really?
Yeah, it's literally like a leg on a stick that they turned.
I love it.
That was enough to freak me out.
Oh man, yeah. And then I love how he just runs straight into the house.
This is the part I remember Yeah.
He goes into the house and then he's like, okay, let's turn on the TV.
Yeah.
He's like, it's time to figure out what the crap's going on here, right?
But running through there just like makes me cringe because I'm like, man, that would hurt.
He's
I'm
reading
gonna
his
trip on something
pamphlets.
every time. I don't even care. Yeah, this is great. I love this. Where the kids are playing and he's just
he
watching.
like kind of recognizes something's wrong, like looking back, like,
Yeah.
well, wait a minute.
Again, there's a nice static shot, and it's a multi-dimensional. You've got 3 layers to that shot. It's just so good. And right there, he's like a broken man, you know. You just feel bad for him.
He's believing, but he's terrified too. Yeah, this shot's awesome. That's really good.
And to keep it all in focus too. I'm sure they had certain lenses to do it, but that's or I guess if it's done digitally, I don't know. But I'm thinking he probably shot on film. I never looked that up.
Oh yeah, definitely on film.
It's got that grainy, saturated.
This is like 2002, pretty much. I think everything was shot on film back then.
Yeah, not 28 days later.
Mm-mm.
That's the only one. That's why it looks so bad. We'll never get an HD upgrade. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they go right to
this
the news
too.
reports.
He uses like lo-fi video and stuff so well in this, like that, those lights, and then of course we'll talk about the birthday scene later.
Oh, the birthday scene!
That's the best scene in film history, I believe.
It is so good. It is fantastic, and he actually, like, M. Night Shyamalan actually shot that scene, like the actual whole movie piece.
Oh, really?
He shot it like just with a little camcorder.
Wonder where he shot it at. It's weird when they pick these cities that you happen to have been through.
Yeah.
Like I've been to Passo Fundo, Brazil. So it's like,
funny.
oh, that's weird.
He filmed it in Miami, but with actual Venezuelan kid. What country was it supposed to happen? Brazilian kids. Yep. I read something about that.
And the kid like says something in Portuguese, but he says it in English, like broken English too, which is kind of funny. So you kind of know.
This is great too. When he's like, Uncle, what's his name? He's like, I gotta borrow your tape.
Yeah.
I want to borrow your tape.
He doesn't even want another tape.
And it's the swimsuit edition thing. Swimsuit special. That's what it is. It's so good. Just like little subtle pieces of humor throughout this thing. So good. And where he said, like, this is history, Bo. This is gonna change.
Yeah, this is so
this is gonna change what they put in your textbooks or whatever.
Book.
And the guy says it, and he's like, "See, told you," or whatever.
He's
everything
a smart kid.
book about to change. I told you.
That was me at that age, man. Like alien books. I'd go to the library and take out alien books all the time. And
my son's like that.
I did too. My very first book report in like the 3rd grade was on UFO book.
Yes, sir. That's awesome.
Yeah. This scene. Oh my gosh.
I love this one too.
This is some of the best dialogue. This monologue that Mel Gibson gives here. Oh my gosh. It is so good. And then Joaquin Phoenix comes back with his piece, and it is he's so sincere. It's so, and it is hilarious.
It's so good.
He's such a redneck jock that you know, like that I knew guys like they just
like I had so many friends that were like that.
Yeah, I love that because he's telling him these really detailed, like deep subjects, and you can tell Joaquin Phoenix is thinking of a story already. Like, I didn't even catch that, but I want to tell you this story. No,
I
so true to guys.
I think he got it.
No, I think he did too. But you know what I mean? He's thinking of that story of like, I know how to fit into this.
Yeah, I'll tell you what group I'm in. Yeah,
because it.
Because he doesn't even. He's like, there was this. He already knew.
And he's right damn proud of it too. You know, he's right smug. He's like,
I'm a miracle man.
I'm a miracle. That's what he says.
I'm a miracle man. Yeah. And he's all excited about it.
I love this because what he's doing here really is talking about the philosophy of the film or of the story too, you know, and I love it because a lesser film, is this exposition? Well, not even exposition dump, but it's dialogue. But a lesser film would just talk or would just, read. There'd be no tension to it. And they could have this one piece of dialogue where, it's telling you about the end of the world, but it's also telling you about how a man of the faith is completely broken. And
he is. Yeah. That's the thing I was going to say too, is like his statement is like, does it really matter what I think? Like, it's like,
do you feel comforted?
I
think is what he says.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Then what does it matter?
And that's a huge deal. Like, that's a huge deal with faith and what people believe in faith of like, oh, well, you feel comforted, and that's all that it matters. It's not.
Are you the kind who sees signs, sees miracles? Look at his face, man. Joaquin is just like, he's locked in to this story, like so hard.
He's waiting to feel better.
He's an extremely good actor.
And this this slow push in, like,
and I'll have to say, like, probably one of the best performances I've ever seen is him playing Joker.
Mm-hmm.
So
did you see that?
Oh yeah.
It's just when he's talking and trembling.
Random McKinney.
Yeah.
And he makes that little wink.
He like a little
Oh,
when he's on the Tonight Show.
Yes. When he's like his lips all quivering.
Oh yeah. And when
it's unbelievable. I'm like, how did he do that?
And then they're making the sequel a musical. So, whatever. I'll just it could be
Are
good.
they really?
Yeah. And I'm not kidding. So Lady Gaga is playing Harley Quinn and it's a musical.
Wow.
But it's the same director, whatever.
I'll give it a shot. At least the first one exists, right?
That is very true. Yes.
This story is hilarious, man. You're right. What he says at the end, he's like, "I'm a miracle."
He's all like laughs about it.
I know, right? Like he's so proud.
They've never recovered.
Like
this right there. That is I'm a miracle man.
Miracle man. I forgot about that. Oh my god.
Those lights are a miracle. And then he's just like, "Yep, there you go." He's like, "My job's done. I can go on to being scared about what's happening here."
You can tell it like that's like a pastor thing, like a comforting. He still has that.
When I was a kid, I remember the house next door to me blew up, and I was talking to my aunt, like, "What a year this has been." I said, "For the world," and I said, "The Gulf War, the LA riots, and the house next door to us blew up." And that was like, because I thought I was being right smart, and she's like, "Well, Tim, the house didn't really affect the world like the other."
Like, definitely affected the neighborhood.
Yeah, it did.
That story though, it's hilarious where he's talking about, the girl threw up and he would have thrown up on her. I had a buddy who was making out with a girl in high school.
Told me that.
I think I may have told you this, but yeah, he's making out with her, and all of a sudden he's like,
this story too from you.
Oh, really? Like his face felt like all wet and weird, and finally they realized that she had a bloody nose for like 45 seconds while they were making out. So he was covered in blood.
Oh my god.
Yeah. What a crazy world.
Could have been worse.
This part, his talk and like the way that the lighting captures the white of his eyes is kind of creepy. Like he's just like he's like, I'm dead set on I don't believe anymore. Like,
and hear this, like, I mean, this is a full 5
after he like comforted him, he just like destroyed his faith.
That's what he's like, you feel comforted? Well, there you go. It's not real anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then the flashbacks in this are so good.
Yeah,
they remind me of flashbacks in I Am Legend a little bit. They're
those were
just
good
enough.
So this friggin' like scary movie ruined this scene for me.
Scary movie?
Did you ever watch it with like scary? What is it? What's the ones that make fun of?
Yeah, I think it's scary. I don't think I ever saw it though.
It has so don't ever watch it because it'll ruin the scene for you.
Oh, does it have this scene in there?
Yes.
Oh man,
because it's what's his name? Charlie Sheen.
Oh,
and the cop's like, your wife is pinned, and he's like separated, and he's like this, and they're like breaking tacos and stuff. And then he's like, so you're only gonna have a few minutes, and he's like, what about the bottom? How many minutes can I have with that?
Oh man.
But it just kind of ruined it for me. That, all I see is a comedy.
Nat over on Rumble just mentioned how crazy it is that Mel Gibson feels so safe in his own home. Like he almost to the point where he just wants to forget about everything else.
Yeah, that's true.
I like
this.
That.
Oh man, this gets so good. Joaquin is getting so obsessed with.
Yes, this is great. There's been new development.
What's the one thing he says? Like, they're going to watch Bouncy
Furry Rabbit. They should be playing Furry Rabbit. What's Furry Rabbit? It's a game, isn't it?
I don't know. Tea Party or something.
I love at the end of this. Yeah, Furry Rabbit. It's a game, isn't it? Where Mel Gibson leaves and he just continues to talk.
Yeah, and he's like,
as he's gone.
And then he's like, keeps going. Like he needs to explain it to himself.
Yeah. Mexico City.
That's like when I come home with my new hobby. I have to explain everything to my wife. I'm like,
yeah.
Let me tell you about the joys of dehydrating.
He's trying to listen to him and like interpret his like craziness.
And she's just like, close the door and walk away because I don't want to listen to you.
Yeah. Look at his face. He's just like disgusted. Yeah, this is the look at this. I mean, he just keeps talking. And he knows he's gone.
It's like the old joke. How do you know somebody's?
Yeah, it's so good because it's like what you would. Well, I'm gonna explain it to myself because I need to hear it.
Coordinate makes sense.
He's so good.
And then the outline of the cross on the wall.
Yep,
so good.
Both times Mel Gibson wakes up, you hear the kids like there's something going on with the kids or not going on with the kids.
Oh yeah, this part's hilarious too.
Is this the book by Bimbo? And he's all, but your tone. I don't have a tone.
I don't have a tone. Yeah,
kids pick up on stuff so well.
They do,
Yeah,
man.
they do.
Way smarter than we give them credit for sometimes.
Chrome painted beeswax paper is what they used for these to hold their shape together.
Really?
Yeah.
I
real tinfoil.
feel like I could have done that with tinfoil, but
Yeah.
maybe not. Aluminum foil.
It's pretty
I guess.
round.
Yeah, that's true.
A little too.
It is pretty round.
You know why they switched from tin to aluminum, though, right? Because now the government can actually get the X-ray through the aluminum.
Yeah. It's all a
I
conspiracy.
didn't even think about
If
that.
you're gonna make fun of it, forget it. This is serious.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I like how he keeps looking at his hat.
I know.
Like
Yeah, I never caught that.
I don't know what got onto me.
His eyes go up and
He
down.
keeps
Dr.
looking at his.
Bimbo, there
I
you
don't know
go.
what got
Dr.
into me.
Bimbo.
Yeah,
Bimbo
he
dad.
keeps looking at his head. He's like,
I love how he like licks his fingers here and he's just kind of like, okay.
Even when he says you had a tone, like he acts that so well as a kid.
Oh my gosh, I know.
he's trying to take it serious, but he's like, I'm gonna keep my eyes on your
Watch him
eyes.
take the book, lick his fingers.
Okay, all right.
All right.
All right, let's get
Here
serious.
we go.
It's so
many
funny
ways.
how they incorporated that picture too. He's like, they all stare at it for like a minute.
Yeah.
Pretty standard.
Yeah, and then they
Looking
get to the picture of the house and it looks
that
just
part's-
like their
yeah.
house.
I just love that they threw that in there. They're like, well, that's
Because
Actually,
it goes from humorous and hilarious. Like that first alien is so funny looking. Each one
Mhm.
gets
it's
a little
like our
creepier.
house. That's what he
And then-
says.
Such a cool picture, actually.
That is a
though.
really cool picture.
Yeah, it is.
I put that on my wall. I don't think my wife would let me put
I
that on
would
the wall,
love
but I
that.
would definitely put it on the wall.
Yeah,
That's
me
why
too.
I have a garage. Just for
That
putting
looks like
Yeah.
the covers of your books.
or a
I know,
garage.
huh?
Yeah.
Garage.
Two kids.
I don't know, they're dead out front.
These are like the books I used to. Yeah, I remember. Oh, there.
All right, that's enough from Bimbo for now.
Yeah, that's enough from Dr. Bimbo for now.
There's so many.
I love that he says that too. Everybody in this house needs to calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's all like in high alert.
that's what I would say to myself too, though.
Me too. All right, everybody, just calm down.
There's so many tropes from these old films that wouldn't work anymore, like the
Like
home
that
phone
shot
on the
is
wall.
awesome. That
Oh,
shot
yeah.
is so
And then
good.
it just pulls away. Oh, I never. Did you see
Yeah.
that says wolf on there too? I never caught that before. I don't know if it, but that's
Mm.
obviously it must be the thing she was working on before,
It's crazy that he knew that it was him that called.
Yeah.
And all he said was
Yeah.
father. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's right.
He pops his head out.
Still in there.
Again, that's me with a new hobby. Sorry, I
Oh,
can't.
yeah.
help it.
You understand it.
I do. Or a new obsession, whatever it happens to be. In the 90s, like I cut my teeth on, kind of 90s indie films and stuff. And I was always a big fan of like a small cast film that takes place in one place, the whole movie. I
Mhm.
think that's why I love this so much, because really, other than going to town and going to the vet, everything takes place in this one house,
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of an homage to
That part's kind of crappy. Like when she's like, I don't want you to die.
Mm-hmm. An homage to
Oh,
what?
yeah.
Were you saying?
an homage to Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah, Night of the Living Dead, they start out at the cemetery and
Mhm.
they get to the house and then that's it. They're in that house the whole time, right?
The whole time. And until
That's
somebody
true,
steps
huh? I
out at
didn't
the
know
end.
that.
Yeah.
That was one of the goriest deaths that I remember as a kid in Night of the Walking Dead, when that guy falls and gets his head right on the corner of the headstone. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's like
That's
kinks
right,
it up. I'm like, oh.
That's like Misery when Annie falls and gets her head on. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly kind of the same.
Wouldn't have the same effect if she fell on a laptop today.
No, not really.
I love this. This is, yeah.
There he is. Yeah, he is so good in this piece. Like it's actually almost shocking, like how good he is. And like obviously when I first saw this, I didn't realize it was him. Like it was M. Night Shyamalan, the director and the writer. But like, wow.
And then Mel Gibson's like controlling his emotions about it is like super talented too. Like
I know, yeah.
He's like wants to be understanding, but he's super frustrated still.
It's kind of like, when two husbands talk to each other when their husbands are fighting, or when their wives are fighting, it's like, we're not supposed to be friends, but we're gonna talk,
Yeah.
I wrote your number down to call you. Yeah, he's so good. Again, just great writing, great dialogue, man. Just wow.
And there's never a wasted word, everything is just. They only say what they have to say to get the point across, but he must have worked on the script for a while. But he's a machine. Like he's put out a movie every 2 years, written and directed, basically since The Sixth Sense.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. He had that little fall from grace for a while.
He's like, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Like, don't bring it up.
It's like, I got enough to deal with right now. There's aliens.
I don't need you to pull this back.
I don't need to think about my wife dying and you killing her.
Yeah, it's a weird. I assume it's because the doctor wants to get it off his conscience in case the world ends, right?
Oh yeah, for sure,
exactly.
Yeah.
But still, it sucks. And he's confessing to him too, like you would confess to.
That's so true, huh? I didn't think about that. That's kind of what he's doing.
Well, he calls him father on the phone.
And it's weird because he's not Catholic, so it must be Presbyterian, or did they call them father?
I have no idea. Reverend. He calls him Reverend there. Yeah, he's like, people who kill reverends' wives don't exactly get ushered to the front of the line in heaven,
That is such a good line. That line stuck with me. This right here. So he says, let's go to the lake because they're not around there.
Yeah, such a.
And
what would you do?
Yeah.
This part, I'm like, would I go back and try and get my family to leave, or do I still like bug in?
So this movie obviously. It's not perfect. There are some plot holes for me, right? So if the water is so bad, I mean, there's humidity in the air.
Yeah, exactly. It would just burn them as they got.
Yeah,
out.
that's I've always wondered, and like I'm guessing they're all over the world. There's got to be some places where it's raining,
right?
I don't know.
That's a good point. Oh yeah.
Well, they're walking around in Brazil, and that's like one of the most humid places I've ever been.
Exactly. It's 100% humidity,
and corn has like dew and water all over it all the time. In America, anyway.
Mountain Dew.
Canadian corn has the same. It's just the frozen variety. That's all.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, they get the ice. Yeah. They it was neat because Unbreakable came out before this, and Bruce Willis's character, he's basically a superhero. His weakness is water.
Yeah.
So he used that same kind of weakness with water theme in 2 movies right in a row. But it works.
And again, it's another throwback to War of the Worlds where it was a bacteria, that killed the aliens. And here it's just water. It's really, really, it's like a simple way to kill them off, And here's
oh my God. I get chills every time. And when he's hollering vominos, children vomino, I'm like,
oh my God. And I love how he backs all the way up into the back of that closet and runs into the clothes behind him.
It would freak you out so bad knowing.
So there's something I learned watching this last time, and you probably noticed this. I didn't. I always assumed the alien was walking down the alleyway, but he's in the bushes and he transforms.
Yeah, he's right there. He's like camouflaged.
I had no idea.
You can just right there. Yeah, you can see him.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that scene.
I know.
Look,
is...
all the way back.
See, I still get chills every time, and it's coming.
It
and
does.
They back it up and they freeze it, and it's great because it's handy cam. It doesn't have to be clear, and it doesn't even matter. It's behind. Yeah, there it is.
There's that little.
Yeah,
you gotta, instead of translating it, they just
right there. Oh my god.
Yeah, what a great scene, man. Holy crap. This too, man.
Oh yeah.
The way what he says,
the way he kind of does this like old school cop movie type monologue here,
We're gonna take you downtown in a paddy wagon.
Yeah.
And he has a self-dialogue. Similar, he's such an awkward dude,
Yeah.
Reminds me of some youth.
It's so crazy to like the roles he's played and being a bad A and like, Lethal Weapon and everything, to like go and do this and look like you don't know anything that what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, does that take a lot of takes, or is that just, he can just do it?
I think he's got range, man. He's been doing it for a long time.
Seriously.
I am a police officer.
I just want to talk with you, he says.
We'll give you the same deal we gave your friends.
He gets into it like he's like, man, that was good.
And again, this is another attempt for him to talk himself out of believing what's going on.
Yeah.
We know about the hoax. Well, it's aliens at this point, right?
Yeah, like he knows. He saw one.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, a glimpse of one.
That's true.
A glimpse of two of them, actually. Saw one in the corn and then one on the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
But it could have been a government conspiracy. It might have been CGI, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, this was early days of CGI. It wasn't great. That last scene with the alien. I mean, it is what it is, but
oh yeah. Maybe, who knows? Maybe somebody hired Stanley Kubrick to go out and walk around in the field so that
maybe
they thought it was a real alien.
I'm pretty sure it was Industrial Light and Magic that did the CGI, wasn't it? It had to have been.
I think so. They did a good job. I mean, like you
especially
said,
for 2002 or 1 or whenever this was.
I love this too. Just the angles. He is so good at doing these odd angled shots. He always finds something.
Yeah, he does.
And oh my god, the knife too. It always makes me think like he's gonna get his eye poked out or something.
And this where he like puts it down and like
yeah.
I
love
like
that.
shakes out his hands. Like, oh my gosh.
This is too much.
I would do that too.
This part, it disturbs me though.
So he gets in, he gets freaked out. He's like, screw you, I'm leaving. And then he just comes back in at like, that right there. Then he comes back in at like 10 times the speed.
Yeah, he's like,
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna look in
I
there.
gotta see.
And it all happens so fast too.
Yeah. This scene kind of confused me the first time I saw it. I'm like, well, what just happened?
Yeah,
me too, because it's such a hard, fast cut.
You
don't even realize
like you don't know what's reaching where. And
right here, it's like it all happens. He looks, there it is, smack.
He hits his head. This piece right here, that's actually all CGI.
Is it
really?
Yeah. I saw a little behind the scenes making of that piece. Yeah, that it cuts, like most of it's practical, but then when he's cutting the fingers, the knife is actually CGI and the fingers are CGI.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's crazy. And now it's like, all right, let's lock the door. This is getting serious. See
now,
just the way he's got his like hands on his knees, like sitting there like a goober,
I love how he asks his son like advice on like, what did you read? That's probably what I would do too.
I know. What do you know?
Like, tell me what you heard and read.
We the missus and I were big horror movie buffs. Love horror. But this film, I think, shows that you can make a legitimate horror movie under the PG-13 banner.
Oh,
I do too.
Yeah.
I almost think they're better because a lot of times, I'm not like, there's some great ones, but the slashers, man, I just don't love them as much anymore.
Again, it's a throwback to like that Hitchcockian, like let's leave something to the imagination.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Let's let the tension be the thing that's keeping you on the edge of your seat, not like shots of a monster or a ghost or whatever,
Because if you want to make a scary PG-13 movie, you have to work at it. You got to build atmosphere. You have to have characters you care about.
Yeah, there has to be a lot to build.
Yeah. Whereas
you can't show
a horror film, a hard R horror film, you know what? Just throw some more CGI blood at it and call it a day.
Man, I had never seen it, and I know this is pretty weird. But have you seen Hereditary? I'm sure you have.
I sure have.
I just saw it the first time this week. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, that thing is crazy.
It's probably my top scary film of the last 10
it?
years.
Yeah. The ending though, I was like, what? Yeah, such a good ending. I mean, there was pieces of it that got slightly slow for me, but some of it, man, again, just kind of crazy.
That is a masterclass in creating tension, that film.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
My favorite scene in that is the old lady kind of seance scene in her apartment.
Oh,
there's something so off-putting about that. Oh yeah, I love that.
There's a lot of things that are off-putting in
That's
that
a good
movie.
Point. Yeah, it only gets worse
when she's floating through the air behind the kid. Man, I lost it.
Yeah, it's a film. I love it. It's cinema too. You know, it's not just.
Oh, it really is. Yeah. It was filmed in Utah, actually. I think.
Really?
Right. Mostly in Park City, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't think they could film R-rated films in Utah.
Well, you have to get a special permit, but you can.
And you can only give 3% beer too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, guys. That's my.
I don't get to see a lot of horror films. My wife hates horror movies. Like hates them.
But she likes true crime podcasts, right?
She does like true crime podcasts.
I don't get it. Sorry.
It doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. But if there's anything with like ghosts or like children in a scary movie, she's out. Like, right. She doesn't even want to hear about it.
I get it.
I think the problem was she saw Exorcist when she was a little kid at a party that she shouldn't have been watching when she was like young. And it messed her up. That's funny. Yeah. I get it though. There was an episode of MacGyver that scared me really bad as a kid. Oh yeah, man. Speaking of seeing, well, everybody loves The Sixth Sense. You know, everybody says that. Most people say that's their favorite Shyamalan film. Well, I was training to be a pastor, and I was in Bible college at the time, so we didn't really films like this, you know, very often. So. I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
So, like for the next 6 months until summer break, the movie was spoiled for me like 30 times. So of course, that's a movie that relies completely on its ending, right? Yeah, for sure. And if you go into it blind, you're going to love it. If you go into it knowing the ending, it's not quite as good.
It isn't. That was one that was harder to rewatch. I actually don't know that I've watched it all the way through since the first time I watched it.
I actually watched it with my kids a few months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
My wife doesn't like The Village, and I really did.
I loved The Village. I thought
that's
it was great.
A divisive film for sure.
Is.
Yeah.
It pissed some people off, but
it did.
I thought it was good.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
I watched it in theaters. I liked it. I didn't love it, but at that time, Unbreakable was my favorite.
I saw it in theaters too, and I thought it was. I just liked it because it was a unique film.
I think it's growing on people. It has more of a. When you hear about it, people speak of it more highly now than they did back then. It's grown a little bit in his kind of pantheon of films. Yeah. So I don't know. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I know most people's hated Shyamalan. What's the worst Shyamalan movie to you?
Okay, well, okay, if we're only picking the films that he both wrote and direct in their original films, okay, so not adapted or anything like that. Yeah. I'm gonna go with The Lady in the Water. Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. And I haven't seen that one in a long time. I saw it once and I was like, okay, I'm not watching that again. Because most people say The Happening. I know, and I friggin' love The Happening. I actually think it's pretty good.
That's the one I need to still watch. I haven't seen it.
Because it feels again like a 1950s homage to a film, like
like a science fiction, like what's going on here type thing. Yeah,
and people, I think people didn't get it. I think it was I think it went over people's heads at the time.
Yeah, because, I understand some of the acting is not fantastic. There's a few scenes with Mark Wahlberg that leave a lot to be desired, right? But the rest of the acting isn't bad. You know, Zoe Deschanel's pretty good in it, and what's his name? The other teacher, or what's the other guy? I don't know. There's another guy in it's good. I thought it was actually really good. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the feeling. I loved the tension of that movie. I mean,
this is one of my favorite scenes.
Oh yeah.
Because you can tell he's super uneasy about it. The news director or the anchor,
the newscaster.
He's just like he like almost wants to cry.
I never clued into that. That's funny how you see things on the rewatch because he's of course
he looks really emotional. Like he's like, I don't even want to be here doing this news because we think we know what's going on.
there is something about like the Dawn of the Dead remake when the guy's on TV reporting. I love, like, again, my favorite chapter in The Stand is the one where they tell the story through like news releases, and they push the story along quite a bit in those. It's like, I don't know. There's something.
The chapter in The Stand where they go to the TV station and the guys there broadcasting still, you know, and they all come in, and that's one of my favorite chapters as well. And
Kathy Bates plays that radio person in the TV miniseries.
Oh, really? See, I've never seen the series. I've only read the book, so
it's so good. Like, I mean, it's dated now. It's from '94, and it was on, free to air TV, so it wasn't.
Didn't they do a remake
of which?
No, we don't speak of that. It's really
was it
bad.
not good?
It's really bad, like really bad. And all I wanted was a remake of The Stand, and it was so
bad. Someone needs to do it and do it well, because it is kind of a cool story. I mean, again, though, the for me, Stephen King, he's great at bringing you along for the ride, but the endings are always just a little lackluster. For me, but
I'll forgive him for it because he builds atmosphere and worlds and characters like nobody's business.
Yeah.
I heard Mike Flanagan is going to be doing The Dark Tower for Amazon. The guy that did Haunting of Hill House. He signed an exclusive agreement with Amazon, and him and his writing partner. And
didn't he also do what's the one like last year that released on Netflix?
It's honestly my favorite.
I didn't see, actually, I only saw a couple episodes of Haunting of Hill House, but I watched the whole season of
it's
the kid from Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. Go ahead, you keep talking, and I'll look it up here.
But what a fantastic series that thing was! I loved it. They're on the island, and it's the vampire thing. Wow, what was it? So good.
I know. He has forgettable titles as part of the problem. Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass. Yeah, that's what it was. It was great.
And that, I think that that film or that miniseries hits different if you come from a religious background too.
Yeah, for sure.
There's an added depth to it that makes it even scarier, that maybe somebody who grew up irreligious, I'm not judging. It's just, I know growing up from a church background, that kind of stuff and end of the world things just hit different. Oh yeah.
What a great, push in. You see the mess of the dinner and they're just sitting at the table. This right here, what a performance by Mel Gibson. Probably his best acting in the whole movie, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Besides that other monologue, he kind of has this right here. It's so good. Oh my gosh.
Stop crying.
Yeah.
Because he has held it together the whole
movie.
That's
exactly
and he has to, right?
He's like, we should enjoy this. Like, let's take some off.
We're not saying a prayer. Just don't. Yeah, he doesn't want to. Oh, and then I hate you.
That breaks my heart every time he says that. Oh, see, every time.
That is it's too much.
It's funny because you never forget that when somebody says that, and it's they don't mean it's a throwaway line, but oh my goodness, is because kids say things, they don't realize that those three words right there. I love
Stop crying. And then a little pull out, and then he just starts like rage eating.
He's like
crying and rage eating. Yeah, want to have a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
He's like super disturbed by it. She's good. Like,
oh my gosh,
she like cuts to your like
how does he do this? Like, look at this. He's eating and crying, and he's mad all at the same time. And then it comes into this like, okay, I'm sorry, and then they all hug.
And he does it with a camera right in his face. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they.
I don't know how they do it either.
And then at the very end, he pulls his brother in, and it's hilarious. It's like again, just a little injection of humor into like a super serious scene.
Right here, guys. All four family members touching.
Yep.
Here comes your signal.
It is.
Oh, that's interesting.
You're right.
He doesn't do anything by mistake,
And then a little rack focus down to the, and then rack focus back. So good.
And then there's a handy cam or steady cam. Very, very rare in this film. Everything is,
that's true. I didn't think about that.
And it's like a POV shot too. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, remember that?
That's so
good. My God. Why does that creep me? It shouldn't. I mean, I remember that like 4 a.m. when I was a kid before the national anthem would come on, and all the friggin' Gen Zs and millennials out there that don't listen to us are like, what in the hell are they talking about?
So have you ever paid attention on this? He cannot hit a nail.
Have you noticed how he's putting the boards, like the door goes the other way?
Oh, yeah.
There's no yeah.
Right? The door goes the opposite way.
But you should watch this part when he's like holding the nail.
Yeah, I know he misses it, and
does he? So I'm glad they don't show you what he sees, but I want to see what he sees so bad. Huh? Like, is there a bunch of them coming out of the corn?
Oh, right. Yeah, I never thought of that.
I'm like, I really want to see what he saw right there because he seems...
See, look, why are they putting it? The door opens out.
I've said that before. That's a damn
so they can't come in.
That's what?
It's an in-swing door.
Yeah.
And I know, right? But
nothing else you can do.
But
yes, but you would think that they say, like, let's just change this door. Let's make it come back out so we don't look like idiots.
But
unless you're gonna put it all the way down, like the boards, it's not gonna do anything.
He does have the line later on where he says they don't handle doorknobs really well.
Yeah, and I get that, but I still feel like
I know I think it was an oversight, or it could have been intentional humor too.
Yeah, you're right. Could have been.
So these stories here, where he talks about how the babies are born,
are
the actual stories of M. Night Shyamalan when his kids were born.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought that was really neat.
That is cool. I love that the camera follows him down and you go behind all the boards they just put up.
That's what I always.
That's why the door was on the other side.
Exactly. They got to get a camera back there.
Because that's funny. Yeah, because if it was an out swing, you couldn't do that. That's exactly why that was. Because if it was an out swing, they couldn't have filmed that shot. Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it might be right here where you can. Or in a second, you see him. Oh, no, I guess not. You see him like hammer one up and he's missing it like crazy.
I love the way this house is lit too. All these practical lamps, they have that like yellow.
They do.
Like
it's
glow,
a darker, almost,
like a warmer.
It's like you're at your grandma's house. You don't feel that comfortable in your grandma's house.
It's like, I love those sconce lights and stuff like that. Like, something about that I love, that low kind of yellow warm
I'm
light.
all about the lighting
sconces and not coming from the ceiling, you know.
And all you want to do is holler at him, like, just turn all the damn lights on in the house so that there's not any of these friggin' crevices where they can go around it. Yeah.
And then here it's like a lot of audio. This is just a lot of like, he does a really good job with
So
sound.
I guess at this point they didn't really know where to go, like, because they didn't go to the basement immediately. That's where I would have gone immediately. But I'm guessing, maybe they just weren't.
They would have been fine if they would have got the attic, right? They forgot about it.
You know, it's a shame they didn't have the attic door from Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
I know.
If they had that, they would have been safe.
Everything would have been fine. What is it a picture of?
I don't know. Mashed potatoes.
I love this. Really.
Turkey.
Mashed potatoes.
And you just feel that, I mean, you almost feel bad talking over some of this because he uses silence so well to just lets it breathe.
So you do have some panning shots here and you're just
in the shadows passing by.
Ugh. Oh yeah.
It's creepy.
And then they cut back to them, and then reactions like, oh my God. Yeah. Audio plays like a subdued, but a really big part in this film. And I love that.
Yeah, it definitely does.
It's its own character, really.
Good thing they got that board across that door.
This is the kind of thing that makes me like backtrack on my senses. I'm like, hearing would ruin this kind of stuff. If you couldn't.
When I went to Rotten Tomatoes to check out the score.
There's only one board on that door.
Yeah. It has a 75, which
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I thought it should be a little bit higher, but it was good. It's certified. But I like to look at the critics and what they say, like the rotten ratings, the ones that get bad, And a lot of them said they didn't like the fact that he was constantly setting up tension and emotion and then releasing it with humor. And I thought that was done, to me, that's the whole thrust of this film,
That's why I actually like this film so much, because I like that release of tension, to be honest, because I feel like then you can build it back up and you can release it again,
I will bet that when you guys are out hunting Bigfoot and it gets really tense, that one of you will crack a joke once in a while to relieve the tension.
Yeah, Cam usually will say something stupid or something.
See, I'd say stupid things even when it's not.
I like this part because he like narrates what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
They're on the roof.
Yeah.
They're in the house.
And you're like, you think nobody would actually do that, but people really do that.
They do. They do. Yeah.
This shot, like, look at this. Just
I know.
Just
like
a little movement and coming up the stairs. They're actually going towards that.
Oh yeah, you can see the hand. That part was pretty creepy too. That would disturb a kid forever.
Oh yeah, what a shot right there.
Right there felt like it felt like an early 80s, like a
Me too. Yeah, I thought that same thing. It's goblins.
The way he runs down those stairs too. Like, it doesn't move his arms.
Oh yeah, he just like
And of course, we hit the light. That's how it goes.
the one bulb.
Prepper lesson number 84. Always have backup illumination.
Yep. So have you seen those bulbs that are just like a little rubber silicone thing around them so they can't be broken? I'm like, those are cool. I didn't even know they existed. So it's all like it squishes and everything, so you can't break them.
Moves in.
We used to sell them to like fish plants and stuff at the hardware.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, they were.
So they can't.
Yeah, they couldn't get broke and accidentally end up,
have a bunch of glass everywhere.
Yeah, it would suck sitting down to eat a piece of fish and have glass in it.
He sure would.
And there it goes. Lights out.
I love how they bring it back too with the
flashlight. Yeah.
I've kind of made it my mission the last couple of years to figure out stress and figure out how to inoculate yourself to really stressful situations. And I went to tactical response and did some firearms training, and they talk about like flipper hands and pasty mouth. And I think that's part of what Merle had, or the brother had there. He's just not thinking, he's just moving. And that, that's why he breaks the light. He's just,
for sure.
Yeah. Things just aren't going. Now, for some reason, I'm going to bring up Lampoon's Christmas Vacation again, but
of course you got to.
Do you know the old man, the old Bethany's husband, and when he catches on fire and he's looking Clark straight in the eye and he goes, "What?" For whatever reason, every time I see the scene of him standing in front of this coal chute, I think of that scene.
What are you looking at?
What?
And that radio, another radio. I love it.
I do too. It's a very analog.
Gotta
film.
have a radio.
Yeah. That's a good shot there, right up close.
Lighting everything with flashlights, And
he says,
actually,
"What's
I'm
happening
sure
right there?"
they had a light over here as well to light his face, or a bounce or something.
And then here comes the noise again.
There's a creepy door in the basement.
Yeah, I mean that
looks like something my wife would paint it that way.
Gate to hell, or
he
something.
looks aged. You like that?
He looks aged.
How much did that cost, honey? It was $1,200. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Pinterest. This looks great.
Yeah. I remember back in the early 2000s when they were pretending to put like fake slats on the walls so it looked like the plaster had fallen off and exposed the lat.
Oh yeah,
like only HGTV would do that.
Seriously.
And I'm sorry, but if I knew my house had a coal chute, I'm telling you, I'd have been in that. I'd have been fine ages ago. That would have,
Oh yeah,
I would have turned it into a prepper pantry or something.
No kidding. Yeah.
Used to pour coal down in this
underutilized.
When we bought this house, it had a cistern in the house.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it was completely enclosed in 8x8 cement. So I jackhammered through and turned it into a pantry. So
that's
how
sweet.
do you have a house? Yeah, I don't know.
That sounds like a start of a horror movie.
Oh yeah, it is. I didn't talk about what I found in there when I opened
it. Yeah, you probably released some sort of a spirit into your house.
Demon that was captured in there.
It's right here. Like, why? What are you looking at?
This was a weird scene. I was like, what is he doing?
That's what we really find out that they're camouflaged.
I love this. How it's like, shuffling, kicking around.
The 1960s old man flashlight too.
Yeah, I know.
He had some pretty terrible lights. One's like an old irrigation light. That one that he drops.
Yeah.
This one's one of those old Ever-Ready ones. I was in Walmart the other day. They had.
And I love that she's wearing a dress. That's exactly what
a little girl would wear.
Like dressed up as a princess all the time,
spinning around, doing ballet dancing, and
it's just what I
love how he throws the thing on top right here. This is the best. The can.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was waiting for it to hit him in the head. Actually,
I know. It's like.
Now this reminds me of The Mist. Remember when they pile up all the dog food in the windows or have you seen The Mist?
Yeah. I remember that.
It's been a while.
That is a classic. Oh my God, I love that film. That's another one that there's not a throwaway line in it. Oh, and then the poor. I think this is one of the worst too.
I was like, oh.
I always worry, like I think about, in prepping situations, people with things like asthma or worse than that, diabetes.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to prepare for. Diabetes is I don't know what you do. I mean, it's really, really tough.
Yeah.
You've read 1 Second After?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. It's rough, man.
I don't. And as a parent, I don't know. You just want to do it. You do anything to let you be the sufferer instead of the kid.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, that's why I'm a prepper, is because I've got kids. I've got a wife, there's no, I mean, again, Cam and I say it all the time. It's like, who cares about us? We're idiots.
Right.
We don't really care. If I died, no big deal, other than I've got kids and I've got a wife and I got to make sure that they're
exactly.
Taken care of,
Yes. That's exactly. I know. It's crazy.
See, and this is like the first time he like acknowledges God.
That's the thing I thought about
true,
too.
Yeah.
Is like,
and he acknowledges him with hate. He's like, I hate you.
So even though he doesn't have faith, he believes he's still there.
Yeah. Like he really does believe he's there because he's telling him he hates him,
Yeah.
And then he's talking about believe. He kind of says the same thing over and over here. Like he's almost like in shock, like this is happening,
He's almost, And he just, it's finally where the emotion comes out.
It's like his like behavior too here, where he's just like it's just so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so sad. Yeah, it's sad. And that's one thing I think about here is that, in a few minutes, they don't make the best decisions in the world.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of that comes from the desperation they feel because they're kid. You just want, and that's what I put. A prepper lesson was, stress causes you to make really bad choices sometimes. Or
sure does. Yeah.
Desperation too.
There's not much more of a stressful situation than the one they're in right here. This is pretty tough.
You're right. Yeah. And he just keeps throwing things. You know what I mean? Like it's not just the end of the world. You got a kid that's dying and a wife you lost. And
you got a faith crisis.
Yep.
This would be the hardest thing, to turn your lights off when you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and then we finally get the flashback. Like
that was a perfect transition.
Yeah.
Turn the lights off to the flashback, because you just want resolution, but when it goes to this, you're like, wow, this is exactly what I needed. It's a break, but it's still really heavy.
Yeah. And I love how it's, the same police officer.
That's
the whole thing.
He comes, kind of goes back to her and shows, a little bit of a history of their relationship. Now you kind of understand some of the things they were talking about earlier.
Always reminds me of the stories you always hear about guys working in the rail yards and stuff, where they get pinned between the, when they're connected. It's like, oh my God. I couldn't imagine. Because from what you hear, that kind of holds them together until they move it, right? And the fact that the way he words it is such a perfect line. It's the last time I'm going to talk to him.
Yeah.
It's like, he gets it. And here's another scenario where he had to be tough and hold it together, even though he didn't want to. And then this shot, kind of the point of view shot, where everybody kind of looks at him, and as soon as they see him, they look away, like, oh my God, because this is how it would happen,
And then here
on that scary movie,
they
walk by and he's all, "Can I get a ride?"
Oh my goodness!
But then you see him down there, sitting there, and you're just like, oh gosh.
Yep. Yeah, you feel bad for him.
Found a pack of light bulbs.
And again, what an odd angle to shoot that from, but it just makes it feel weird,
Oh yeah, now that they're hearing the people on the radio. Yep.
So this line right here, where they said they were here for a raid, they didn't come for our planet.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people's big plot hole with this is they're like, why would they want to colonize a planet full of water?
Yeah.
And he was very specific. They weren't colonizing; they were taking people away for some reason.
Yeah.
And so I like that he put that in there. So, and
yeah, so it gives you a little bit of an explanation, like, well, what the heck?
And there are holes in the plot. I won't,
Yeah,
but
there definitely is.
But you know what? Every plot has one. But the thing is, if the emotional stakes in the atmosphere help you oversee that, then to me that's an effective story.
Exactly. Then it's good. Yep.
I like this one.
It's like they must have figured a way to beat him. It's weird that nobody was talking about it on the radio. Like, hey guys, it's just
that'd
water.
be the first thing, right?
I would think
so.
so.
Get a super soaker.
Yeah, you said the same
water
thing.
Balloons. That's all you need, man.
So to me, there's some similarities to Independence Day as well.
Yeah.
Sure. So okay, in this, they're using the signs to kind of coordinate a mass attack, right? Yep. And in Independence Day, they were using the signal in the background of the satellite system. Remember that to coordinate. And then in this, of course, they were sending it out through Morse code, like an old-fashioned way. They discovered a way to defeat them, right? And then here again, it's kind of an analog way to disseminate the information. I mean, of course, there's only so many plot lines and storylines you can tell, but I like that about this.
Yeah, I definitely did too.
And like I said, there's no draggy points in this whole film. Like if there's one point you might say it slows down just a tad, it's right here.
And see, I agree too. Which is funny because most people's like, "Oh no, you're at the climax. This is the best part." But for me, this piece in the basement, it's maybe like 2 minutes too long.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Barely.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I know he needed to fill it in, but it did. Yeah, if there's any 2 to 3 minutes you could cut from the film, I think it would be right after the flashback.
Yeah, and
I think the radio, when the radio ended, like once they said,
as soon as the radio, exactly. Yeah. And it's like, okay, now we got to go upstairs or whatever and get the medicine, or cut to this piece. Like this is obviously
probably
great.
Cut to this.
This feels like what do you studio notes? Somebody comes back and they're like, listen, if you go straight upstairs, they're not going to understand that the asthma, blah blah. You know what I mean? So like, let's fill it in a little more.
Yeah. He's like, I can't hear anything. Good enough for me, isn't that what they say?
Yeah. Something? He's like, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
So you see that right there? It took me so many watches to figure out.
Me too. And I still don't. Is it a blanket?
No, it is. So when you watch, it's all in there. So when they're first outside, when the dog's out there, you see the playhouse in the background. The roof of the playhouse is that right there with the stars and the moon and everything.
Oh.
And then when they're starting to box up the house, there's one quick shot where you see the playhouse only has half its roof left on it.
So they used it as a window cover.
Because I still was like, I have tried to figure that out too.
It was
such a weird angle and it didn't look. I'm like, where is that piece coming? It looks sweet because the light's coming through it. But I still was like, where did that come from?
When I first saw it, I thought the aliens did it. That's the very first time I was like, that's weird that they would do that. But yeah, that's what it was. They were just literally the kids
navigate by astrology, like weird.
Yeah.
And I love how you kind of feel like this is it. This is the end. They got through it. You know,
good point. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you feel like this is probably the end. And he sets him down. Do you want to see what's on TV? Do you want to see? You know, and the way
then the girl comes out and she says, "Look what they're doing," and she's the stupid little girl dance.
And they're she's doing the dance. But then,
do you think that's the sun coming through or lighting outside? Do you think?
It's actual lighting. Yeah, they've
had to like blast it on all angles.
Yeah, but the way that you see the alien finally is that reflection in the television screen for the first time. That's where you see it. I love it.
Yeah,
it's like the best shot.
It really is.
That's one of his hallmarks. He loves to do reflective shots.
Yeah.
And, it is so good. And even right here, they're like primitive method. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw it out there. I don't think the water part of the story was necessary even. I love it and it's good, but it felt like he was trying to put a bit of a twist on the story because he was known as the dude with the twist.
Right.
And I think this is a perfect film, even without a twist ending.
Sure.
Yeah, you're right.
See, I get that, but I also do like the fact that there was so much foreshadowing to it.
Absolutely. I will give you that. Yep, I do.
I love that. with the little girl and her quirky habits saves her brother.
In that part, yeah, and you're right. And looking at it with the overall the way he sets it up, it's so good. It really is. Yeah, and then that right there,
so good.
He's like, yeah, you sucker, you cut my fingers off. So, and they didn't need to show that knife.
Yeah,
that bugs me. I'm like,
they didn't.
If you can't figure out 2 digits missing, you shouldn't be watching this movie.
It's like, watch it again.
It's kind of a pointless.
Yeah.
It's catering to the dumb.
That again was probably notes from executives at Touchstone.
We understand that.
The average American moviegoer just isn't going to get it. What you need is a 1-second flash of a knife there, so they know that's the guy. It's like
they're going to have the aha moment.
Yeah, that right there. Oh,
this shot, this wide angle close up.
The timing is so good too.
In the music as it's building, and
I love a wide angle close up shot. You get that like distorted view, really like, again, more tension.
So again, when he's having, you go back to the conversation where him and the brother are talking, and he says one of 2 things: either life has meaning or it doesn't. Right. So come back to here, and either these last 2 words that she said had meaning or they didn't. But either way, it doesn't matter, because those words she used are what inspires Merle to swim.
Yeah.
It's what saves the kid.
Yeah.
It's okay to be silly.
And I remember the first time I watched this, the full shot of the alien, when you finally see it, you're like, it looked bad that the alien did, but it doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't.
When I watch it, I'm like, it did the first time, and then after that, I'm like, it doesn't matter. It could have been a sock puppet. The movie's perfect.
Yeah, I know he didn't actually want to show the aliens. Like, he wanted to do this whole thing without showing it.
I heard, which would have been cool.
But he changed his mind. I don't know what made him change his mind, but I think I saw a statistic, like, really, like, it's 90 seconds with the aliens on screen.
That's it. Yep, 90 seconds in a nearly 2-hour film. You know,
not needed. Yeah,
this flashback was great though. I love it when it goes back to the
right.
It sinks deep.
I forgot this is here. So he literally explains what I just said, but yeah, that's right.
And then it has that, like, it's like that slow motion. Every time it's on him, it goes back to like just slightly slower than that 24 frames a second. You can tell because it has that weird little jitter.
Like the old like the silent film that, or like the earlier. Yeah. And then
it's like when they slow it down, but they don't use a higher frame rate, you get that weird like jitter, Yeah,
and it feels very.
I like how he just says it to him, like it doesn't tell him.
And
Merle knows exactly.
Merle does have kind of an awkward
stance.
When he has an awkward turn of his head, like the way he turns his head.
It's like
you know what
Michael
I mean?
Keaton in the Batman costume.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Right there, 507 feet. Like I said, not a single throwaway line in the whole damn movie.
Right.
That was weird too. Boom. I never figured that out.
When her tramp stamp.
Yeah.
Alien tramp stamp.
You call him Abigail Breslin a tramp.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, this is cool. And then the shot through the glass. How great is that?
Oh, yeah, it's a great shot.
I love when they look at her. She's
like, shit. I remember thinking when I see that, I'm like, oh, now we're in trouble, baby.
It's just the realization, and then like Mel Gibson's face. It's just like, oh.
Okay, think about this. Earlier in the movie,
her face
cleaning up all the water.
Yeah.
And he decides not to. If he decided to clean up all that water, it wouldn't have been there for the fight.
Nope, exactly.
I know. Yeah, the warm part when he started to pick it up and put it back.
I love this. And again, he uses these out of focus shots so that you don't have to focus on the fact that the alien doesn't look great. It's like, hey, look.
It's so true.
There it is right there. See that?
Oh, yeah. It is missing the top. I had no idea.
Oh, that's a great shot right there, too.
Yeah. Oh. And then that POV, and then here comes the water,
I love that because to me, that's better than showing the alien disintegrate.
Yep.
Like that is music. So much better.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to see any of that.
And then the broken bat. Like, yep, you're done.
What a shot.
If that's not iconic in the whole. Yeah. And they labored over every little piece of broken glass they put in that. Like, oh yeah. And the VHS tape. Yeah.
Yep.
It's so good.
He's
I never caught the
broken windows
glass
upstairs.
window. Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, he's having a little conversation with God too here, you know.
And again, he's trying to convince himself too, right? Like as long as we're closed, he didn't get poisoned in. He's not
touch him.
Speaking a fact. He's just trying to make it feel better for himself. Oh, they're so good. Give him a second. Yeah. Such a dad thing.
And she's so good, like for a little girl
really
to do that.
Hey, yeah.
So good.
Yeah, this is where he has a little conversation. Don't, you know.
He's like, what more can I do? You know, my wife, the world. And that theme is always playing in that little bit of doo-doo-doo. Yeah, I love it.
That's so insane.
Yeah, he's so good.
It was your mom.
And it's cool because a lesser film, some films might have ended right there, but I love that there's the one last.
I did too.
And
it makes all the difference to
it. Really,
it changed him.
It's a throwback to the opening shot, pretty much. You know.
Yes. Yep. You're right. I love those pull-in shots from outside of a window back in like that. They did that in the 3rd episode of Last of Us.
Yeah, they did.
And it was
a real nice throwback to the game. You know, that opening in the game where it's just the window in the curtain.
That was a master class.
And look at this. And then now it's
all winter cut
a straight
down
pan. Yeah.
It was a straight pan shot too. Like I'm sure there was some trickery there, but the fact that it looks like one long continuous shot is friggin' I love it. Yeah.
And the cross isn't there, but it's been painted over.
Oh, in other words, my faith isn't as strong as it was, but it's coming back.
But it's coming back.
And here he comes with his
obviously comes out with the clerical collar on, you know, and
the ending really makes
what a perfect
needed to happen,
film, man. And you can tell he's still not all right, but he's better than he was.
Puts his 9mm on the back.
Super soaker, actually, right?
Yeah, that's
squirt gun.
That's a good point. We're sitting here watching it and enjoying it. But...
Fade to black. Yeah, no, man, what a great film!
Right there,
back to the opening credits.
It was.
I love it. Yeah. He hit everything he does hits like an old Hitchcock film.
So good, man. What a great film.
I love this
Never
film.
gets old.
No, it doesn't.
It was like the first horror film I showed Finn too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, kind of creepy.
My kids love it too. It's one we honestly probably watch 2 to 3 times a year.
Yeah,
it's that good.
It's worth it. And we've got a list of movies